At this point, we have a small session that's going to be a discussion of, in fact, a very significant contribution to the university. A few of you have heard about this. Joel's going to make a more formal presentation on it, and Scott Peters of Sypris Electronics. Sypris is another one of our partners, and they actually opened an office in the Purdue Research Park. They've located some of their engineers here. Scott is one of them. Their co-location has enabled a number of new research projects to work collaboratively. Come on over, Scott. And they have actually invested in building a secured facility so that we are actually able to have conversations and do work above and beyond what we would normally be able to do in the campus environment. It's been a very fruitful collaboration. Having people locally, and you can see Scott looks great. Living here in Indiana is not a problem. They've hired several of our graduates. This is something that we would like to also encourage other companies, organizations. The research park is a fantastic place for you to open an office or a lablet, and it's a great vicinity to the university where we can do collaborative work. This is another outgrowth of that work, and with that introduction, I'll now turn it over to Joel Rasmus and Scott Peters.
Thank you, Spaff. So, Spaff, you just covered most of my presentation. Thank you very much. But let me touch base on a couple of those things. Sypris has been a wonderful partner of CERIAS for quite a while, and we've been very successful in supporting some of their proposals to DARPA and the Department of Energy primarily, and have done some very, very interesting work. They are located, their headquarters is located in Tampa, and they do quite a bit of work with the hometown university right there, and have hired a lot of their students at University of South Florida. And so when Sypris decided that they took some of our research, they took some of the research of other universities they've worked with, and they've obviously took their brilliant internal people and developed a cyber range. And I'm going to have Scott talk about that. But from that outgrowth and the working together, they identified an opportunity to work with the two universities in not just developing the product, but then actually implementing the product that is extremely exciting to us. Are you close? Okay. So since Scott is better versed at talking about the cyber range, I'm going to allow him, and then I'll touch on some comments of what we plan to do with it here at Purdue. And this is a major deal. I think that'll be very self-apparent when they talk about it. But and Scott probably wouldn't talk on this, but this is in excess of a $4 million donation to CERIAS.
Can you hear me? No.
Are you on? You should be on. It's on.
Can you hear me now? It's on?
No.
A little higher. Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. So my name is Scott Peters. I'm from.
I think that's yours.
That's mine. Okay. I'm the technical director for the research center here in West Lafayette. Work with Sypris Electronics. Just a little brief history of Sypris, kind of how we got here as to where we are today. Sypris, we've been around for a long time, around about 1964. Primarily, our background has been in encryption, cyber security-based products for the national defense. A big pedigree of ours is also in key management, which is related to crypto, obviously. But in 2003, we started a new area, which was more in information security, and specifically in the area, I guess you can say it's more commercially based, because what we were seeing was there was even in the defense side, they're looking more and more commercial as far as the technologies that they're using. So a lot of the older style technologies like the encryption devices are actually moving more into using commercial products, like commercial for classified and things like that. So the area that we've been working in has been really more cybersecurity, more of the newer technologies. And then a couple years ago, we actually opened up a research center here in West Lafayette, specifically for research and working with Purdue. Okay, we had, like as Joel mentioned, we've had a long-standing history of working with Purdue, but we felt that it was more efficient to actually open an office here in the research park really for two things. One, for collaboration with Purdue, but also to a little bit of an incubation, a different culture that we needed with the company. We needed to have a little more freedom to think outside the box, if you will. And that has worked out really well. We now have a staff of 9 engineers, 8 of which are Purdue graduates. So we've really been able to pull and work with Purdue and pull some of the talent and work with them, as starting with interns, and it kind of transitions into full-time employment. So what is the cyber range? This is our vision. What we've learned is that we really need to transition cyber security from an individual to a team sport. It's just like in any kind of sport. You can be good as an individual, but if you're not working together as a team, it's not going to work out well for you. Or you can only go so far as far as your maturity goes. So the cyber range, and I'll talk a little bit more about what it is, but it is geared really towards starting with an individual, a knowledge base, then working together as a team, and ultimately there's an advanced side of it, which is more of a sandbox for you to play around with new technology. So as with any field, people love to take it and actually think about it from a maturity point of view. How do you get more and more mature? I saw that with software development. That's my background is in software development. So many of you have probably heard of Cmmi, capability maturity model integrated, or it's the same thing. You start out individually, but really what you want to do is push your organization up to a higher level of maturity. And what we focus on is really, we start out, this is really at the individual, but as we move up to the maturity, you start getting more and more team integrated. And the cyber range really is geared towards taking you from an individual to working together as a team. And I'll also say that one of the things that we focus on more and more is we're about 80% hands-on. So it's not so much theory as, although it has the knowledge, it's really, we want to get your hands dirty and to show that you can actually do the job. So that's one of the reasons why it's really geared towards individuals actually exercising the skills that they've just learned. Okay. There are 4 components to the cyber range. The first one is the knowledge base. That's exactly what it is. It's really more of a body of knowledge for cybersecurity. That's what it really is. So that's where you actually learn about the topics. There's classroom content. There's presentation material, lecture, that type of thing. But again, we try to keep that as minimum and focus more on the hands-on. The next area is security challenges. Security challenges are really an individual exercise. So it's more like, you want to show that you can indeed exercise the skills that you just learned from the body of knowledge. And then the third one is dynamic exercises. Really, that's the operational scenarios. So what you have is you're presented with a scenario, and then you have to work together as a team to solve the problem. And then the final area is modeling and simulation. That's we kind of sometimes describe that as a sandbox. So if you have a new technology, in fact, I'll talk a little bit about that. We had a project here with Purdue, with the Department of Energy, and that's what we used, was modeling and simulation. We wanted to kind of prove that the technology we were working on did indeed do what we said it would do. So it's a safe environment. It's not connected up. You can do whatever you want to inside that environment, and you're not going to harm your real network. The cyber range does have things like malware in it. It's real stuff. It's not a fake environment. It's a real environment. Everything is real. When you log into a terminal and you start typing, you're going to get the same response that you would get from a real system, because it is a real system. It's a virtual environment. So what are we doing with Purdue, and why did we do this? Well, we started out with research and development. That's what we did with the Department of Energy program. That was a research and development project. So we can use it for design, test, evaluating new technologies. We're also interested in getting performance metrics from a wide range of resources. So the students would be a great help in that. Looking at the latest threats. Again, this is a safe environment, so you can look at the latest threats and evaluate it, and then understand how it works. And modeling and simulation, like I had mentioned before, like in the case of the Department of Energy, it was more of a critical infrastructure research. And then just in general, looking at operational maturity and continuing to raise the maturity, look at new content, because really the value of the range is in the content that's in it. It's a good platform, but the content is really where we move from here. Again, in the education and workforce development, looking at real life scenarios. That's the key to it. Unlike a lot of other training, this is more, we're creating real scenarios that you can actually test your skills. And then the third bullet here is more for, in addition to like the research and the course material, there are student organizations here at Purdue. I believe there's it's called a Capture the Flag Club. And that's what this is. This is a real exercise where you get a team of people into a room and they compete with each other. It's very productive. And then finally, regional and global partnerships. We're trying to expand it. Obviously, that's what we do. We're also working with other universities, like Joel mentioned, USF and some in other countries. So the idea is to try to continue to expand it and build that knowledge base. If you want to know anything more about it, you can contact me directly. I'm here in the research park, and I can meet with anyone who's local, or I can just email me, and I'll be glad to talk to you more about it.
So let me frame this in the context of CERIAS and at Purdue. All right, so while much of the development was and implementation on the commercial side of the product has been towards training of cybersecurity for practitioners, and that is something that USF is primarily looking at it as well. Okay, the final component that capability of the range that Scott touched on is the thing that we're most excited about, is the modeling and simulation. And why we chose to talk about that here is that it actually has impact on all of you. So this is going to be a campus-wide resource. So while CERIAS, it's branded as CERIAS, but it is a campus-wide opportunity. So any of the faculty, whether they're affiliated with CERIAS or outside of CERIAS, they will be able to use this resource here to do, again, the modeling, simulation, and research applications. So you can put together an enterprise model, and you can test different architectures, different system layouts. You can, which is very interesting about this range compared to some of the other commercially available cyber ranges, is that you can actually hardwire in specific pieces of application. So you can have a virtual environment, but you might have a prototype of a new piece of hardware. You can actually merge this thing together and run the research on there. In some of the critical infrastructure, we've talked about plugging in a wireless smart meter, start doing some electrical grid work, hacking into the meter. Once you're inside, where can you go, what can you do, and what can you exfiltrate out? Unbelievable capabilities that they are donating to our university, and an unbelievable opportunity for our faculty to be able to do very easily scalable research, for an opportunity for our students to be able to play in a safe environment, sandbox. And that it is something that, as the further we get into the research, that we also plan to start using it as for curriculum development, for new courses. One of the things our students talk to us about is more training opportunities. Purdue and other R1 universities are primarily places for education We expect most of the training to happen by their employer afterwards. But the students are saying, we'd love more of this hands-on opportunities. So this gives us an opportunity to actually, students be able to start to train. ITAP, which is the business side of Purdue, they will have this as a resource that if they choose to send over, we can simulate Purdue's network, they can do training, we can customize modules for this. It's an unbelievable product, a very generation by Cyprus. And again, forgive me for repeating myself, but the reason we wanted to share this here is that I want you to spread the word that this is an opportunity that is uniquely Purdue now, and that it is available across campus, all disciplines, all students, and it gives us opportunity to work on research that's not just funded by Cyprus, or NSA, or NSF, or DARPA, or DOE, but this can be corporate research that is funded at Purdue. Will give us an opportunity to do modeling and simulation in a very unique opportunity for all of us. So, any initial questions that we can touch on? Great. Send them all to Scott when you have them. So.